welcome back again. As y'all see, I just made some iced coffee, but today is going to be a fun day and another kind of like week / day in the life vlog, except today we get to go to a concert. So if you guys haven't heard of Need to Breathe, that's my husband's favorite band. They're from one of the Carolinas, and they have a little bit more of like a folk song southern vibe to them. We're both kind of into it, or I'm more into it now because he was into it first. So anyways, we are going to go see them in concert. They have a little acoustic tour going on, so I'm working on outfits back there, which I'll show you guys in a minute. Anyways, I'm just gonna work on getting ready and let you guys tag along. Hey guys, so I just got a package from Care&Wear. You guys, if you follow me on Instagram, probably already know that I've worked with Care&Wear a little bit, and they've just sent me their reversible scrub jacket, so I'm curious to see what it looks like. I know that with Nurses Week here, they have some discounts coming up, so I will put my link to the scrub jacket and the website in general along with my code in the description down below, and I will put it somewhere on the screen once I'm done editing this. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Ooh, it already looks kind of like fleecy, so that should be interesting what it looks like. I already like the collar on it. It feels like it's really good quality, but if you can't tell, it's even got a little badge holder up here, which is pretty cool, but that's the material. It looks pretty fleecy. This is what it looks like. I will try it on in a couple clips too, but this will definitely keep me warm in the ICU. So then it's supposed to be reversible, so that's probably why the tag is at the top. So it will go with their dark blue scrubs, which I have, and then also their seal blue scrubs, which kind of excites me. And this is the size extra small. So honestly, it looks like it is a small size. Like if I were to wear one of my other jackets, it would probably mostly resemble a small jacket. So this is the outfit, and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like on. So I'm just about ready to go to work. I have about 30 minutes until it's time. I'm in my teal colored Care&Wear Scrubs, which I have a link to down below. You can actually get 30% off of them right now if you use my code Maddie, which I put earlier in the video. These are definitely my favorite scrubs. I've talked about them before, so I'm not gonna go over them again. But yeah, and then I've got the rest of my stuff on the kitchen table, which I usually pile all my stuff there so I don't forget anything on my way out to work. So I'll go to work. I wanted to talk to you guys just really briefly, if you haven't watched my videos before. Kind of what my shift entails is I'm a cardiovascular intensive care unit nurse, and we basically work on post-open heart surgical patients. So that is my primary job, is that I take care of those types of patients. So that is the primary patients I take care of, but I can take care of other surgical patients. I've seen amputees, I've seen GI patients. Anytime we have a fewer amount of open heart surgeries being done, obviously we'll have more open beds, and we'll just take a cluster of different types of patients. I've seen withdrawal patients, so people withdrawing from alcohol or substance abuse and things like that. So it's honestly kind of cool. You kind of get a little mix of MICU, so medical ICU, and cardiovascular ICU patients. I definitely feel like now that I'm later into my job, and it's almost been 1 year since I've started, I have my open heart nursing certification, this certification that my job has. So you go through a certain amount of training, you take a certain amount of open heart patients with a preceptor, you take a class, and then after that you're qualified to take open hearts. So I've obviously done all that training and I'm taking them on my own now. But at this point in my job, I've been taking that more often. Like I had 1 week where I got a post-op heart every single night. And they were only a few hours after surgery and they still had the breathing tube in. So that was kind of cool, kind of honing in on those skills there. But I noticed that right after COVID, we had a lot more medical ICU patients because they were trying to cut back on the amount of surgeries that we did. So we didn't have patients coming in for surgery and leaving potentially with COVID. So definitely worked with some COVID patients. So anyways, got to learn more of the medical patients early on, and now I get to focus a lot more on the cardiac patients now, which is really cool. But I go in, I take report, I assess my patient, if they're still intubated, then the goal of the night is gonna try to be extubating them, taking out that breathing tube, making sure they're stable, taking off the drips, so like epinephrine, norepinephrine, things like that are helping their heart stay stable, and then working towards getting the Swan-Ganz catheter out and walking. If they've already had all that done, then the focus is making sure their pain's being treated, that they're ambulating enough, so walking, that we're working towards getting the chest tubes out, so I'm monitoring chest tube output all night, making sure they get a good night's sleep, and then making sure that they don't become unstable. So that is the highlight of my job. I try to be good about making like lunch to bring with me to eat in the middle of the night, but tonight just wasn't happening. Time snuck up on me, and I don't have a ton in our pantry right now because we have yet to go grocery shopping, but I am bringing some snacks. I've got some trail mix and a high protein bar that I get both of these from Aldi because they're fairly cheap, but this has 20 grams of protein in it. So usually I'll get to work and right before shift huddle eat this, and this keeps me going for a few hours, and then somewhere around like 10 p.m. I'll eat the trail mix and maybe another snack if I've got it, and then around midnight to 1 a.m. is when I get lunch and when the cafeteria opens. So I'm just gonna have to eat in the cafeteria tonight. You guys should comment down below and definitely tell me what kind of snacks that y'all enjoy bringing to work, or energy drinks or coffee. What do you typically like to bring to work, for whether it's like midnight lunch or snacks or your favorite beverage, because I'm curious. Momo the bunny wants to say hi to everybody. I usually say goodbye to him right before I go to work, but he just wants to say hi. Say hi. Say, are you gonna feed me before I leave? Hello. He's not the biggest fan. I don't like leaving him. Does anybody else hate leaving their pets before they go to work? Because I certainly do. Also, just in case anybody is wondering what kind of shoes I wear to work, I wear Clove. These are definitely my favorite type of nursing shoes that I've tried so far. They just have a nice amount of cushion to them. And just like that, it is morning and I'm so ready to crash and go to bed. Here's your daily reminder to drink water and get your daily sunshine. Can you guys see that? He's shitting like crazy, but this is the best hack that I found thanks to TikTok. You just roll your pets. It is now round 2 of 3 shifts in a row, and the sun is giving me a weird angle here in terms of brightness and lighting. It is 91 degrees outside. You can already tell that my skin is glistening because I'm already sweating and I literally just stepped outside. So anyways, Shift 2 or 3, I probably won't have a ton of time to film anything or talk today just because usually by my second shift I'm in a little bit more of a rush and trying to catch up on some sleep and feel like a normal human being. But I will bring you guys along anyways. Does anybody else just like sit in their car for at least 10 to 15 minutes before their shift just to contemplate, you know, like life and why we keep coming back to this place to work and just kind of trying to decrease our like pre-shift anxiety? I have a whole video on that, sort of. But yeah, do you guys sit in your car for like 10-15 minutes before going to shift? If not, how long do you sit in your car? Hey guys, so today is shift 3 of 3. I've already done 2 shifts, which you guys have seen previously. So tonight is my last one of the week. It is a Thursday and I can't wait to have 4 days off. Actually, I think it'll only be 3 days off. I go back to work on Monday, so I'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, which is really nice. I'm looking forward to that weekend. Don't mind my hair. It's a little frizzy right now just because it's so humid outside. I think I told you guys yesterday it was like 91 degrees. It is still like in the 80s, but now we got some humidity and my hair doesn't really know what to do with it. So please excuse the hair. But yeah, I wanted to, for the last portion of this video, do a little Q&A. I put out a little Q&A on my Instagram page, which I have the handle down below if you guys want to follow me there for lots of updates and cool things and tips and tricks on being nurses. So I put out the Q&A there and I'm going to answer those questions here on my channel. So because I do most of my filming on my phone, I sent all the questions to my laptop. So I'm going to answer them from here and you guys can see the questions pop up here. So the first question that I got was, what are your hobbies and dream vacations? So this is a good question. It's kind of 2 in 1. My hobbies, if you guys haven't checked out my previous videos, include art. I really love art. Mostly pencil sketching. I like art. I like hunting, which I've talked about before. I play piano. I don't currently own a piano, but my hope is that by the time we are able to afford a house, I can also afford and own a piano. I enjoy reading in my spare time. I have actually written a couple articles before and had them published on hunting, so I enjoy writing too in my free time. But yeah, those are a few things that I enjoy doing. I really love organizing, so I'm always on the portion of YouTube that covers organizational hacks and how to better organize your house. So, dream vacations. We have always wanted to go to Australia. I don't know about you guys, but Steve Irwin was like my hero back in the day, especially when I was a kid, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a professional, and my parents, I guess, later on found out that by professional, I meant I wanted to be like Steve Irwin, because they were always like, don't do this unless you're a professional. I'm like, well, I want to be a professional so I can go wrestle the gators. So, or crocodiles. But anyways, I've always wanted to go to Australia. I'm also a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, so it'd be really fun to visit New Zealand briefly and see kind of where they filmed part of the sites for those movies, that trilogy. But yeah, Australia for sure. And then I probably want to go to Zanzibar, which is back on the east coast of East Africa. And then those are the 2 major places that I wanted to go to. Can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I know my husband wants to go to Europe, so at some point we'll probably go to Europe too, just to visit. The next person asked 2 questions, which I really love. The first one is, how do you balance work, your husband, friends, pets, family, staying healthy? Love your videos. Thank you so much. This is a fun question. It is hard to balance, and I think a lot of the balancing act of life is just learning to, sorry, my hair is driving me so crazy. I think a lot of the balancing in life is just learning to enjoy where you're at, whether it's balanced or not. And then over time it becomes more balanced because we're constantly moving and stepping into new chapters in our lives, which I will get into that in the next couple videos. We have a lot of things changing here in our life. But it's really easy to get caught up in looking at the future and what it's gonna be like and working towards a goal. And then you get caught up in thinking about that and stressing about organizing for the future and making sure you're exactly where you want to be instead of enjoying where you are in the present. So my personality is the type where I really like being spontaneous because I always want to try something new. I always want to be somewhere different. I don't want to waste time. I want to go out and experience and enjoy life. But then the other half of me wants to be balanced, and it wants to be organized, and it wants to be like, have a schedule basically. So what I do is I do my best to set a schedule monthly, but give myself grace to constantly change that schedule based off of our needs and our goals for that month. So for example, you guys might have seen it in one of my past vlogs, but we have a big old monthly calendar that we keep. It's like right next to our laundry room, and we update it once a month. That way my husband and I can see when we work, what times we work. We can put dates on the calendar to get things done, like getting the car fixed, going grocery shopping, things like that. So we go grocery shopping like every other week. So having that calendar on top of our own individual calendars is nice because it gives you a bigger visual and we can see what the other person's doing and coordinating that. And then we try our best when we go to schedule in time with friends. So I've learned that even though I love being spontaneous, in this day and age, it's really hard to be that way with friends because they're also busy and they have work and school and life to live. So you have to do your best to plan, but then you might plan a day to hang out with friends and then do something spontaneous while you're hanging out with them, if that makes sense. So that's how I balance it for the most part. My house rabbit is a free roam rabbit for the most part. And so I balance playing with my pets by like hanging out with him before I go to work, making sure I feed him when I come back and brush him. And then I try to visit my family like every other weekend. So my parents live about an hour away from us. So we try to just schedule every other weekend going to visit them. And then staying healthy is the hardest thing. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I was doing so good up until like the beginning of April, and somehow I fell off the wagon in terms of working out. So I've not worked out in like 2 or 3 weeks now. I'm still doing yoga in the morning, so I'm just telling myself, as long as I can stretch, I can move. I still feel pretty good. I'm working really hard at work. I'm drinking lots of water, and I'm not doing and eating like a lot of crappy food. So it kind of balances itself out. But working out is something that I'm still learning how to balance in my everyday life. It's really hard when you work during the night and then want to sleep during the day and you're just exhausted after 3 shifts in a row. The other question from the same person was, what got you into wanting to be a nurse? Are you going to stop there or work up to being a doctor, etc.? Love this question. This is a good one. So in terms of wanting to be a nurse, I grew up overseas in Kenya, and my parents were missionaries, but they worked with more like a youth-based program, and it's almost like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, but they do like devotionals and they teach them like survival skills, home ec skills, and all that kind of stuff within this program. But we knew other missionaries who were nurses or doctors and things like that. So my parents would volunteer their time with them every now and then. And when I was about 12 years old, we went on a medical mission trip basically to the southern part of Kenya, which was gorgeous. I loved it. It's a little bit more like deserty, warm, lots of elephants down there, and I really miss it. But we went out there and we kind of camped out near a church, and then we turned the church into a clinic, and it was just awesome. So that just really stuck in my brain, and I loved getting to meet all these people. I loved talking to the doctors and the nurses that were there, helping with the team, and that stuck with me. And then later down the road, I was homeschooled all the way through. My mom and I had a conversation one day, and I don't remember all the details, but I remember struggling with, what should I do in terms of career? Should I teach? Should I go to veterinarian school? Should I become a pilot? Like literally, I had everything on the table that I was thinking about. And my mom gave me the option to take anatomy and physiology in my senior year of high school. And she was like, hey, if you like anatomy and phys, why don't you go the medical profession route?
because you don't get grossed out very easily by things, and I really enjoyed that medical mission trip. So thanks, Mom, for putting that thought into my head and getting me where I am now. But it stuck with me, and I prayed about it through my whole senior year of high school, and I felt like that's what God called me to. And every step of the way from there was literally like God's hand was in it, because I wasn't the best studier, and somehow my senior year of high school, I got really good at studying. I loved anatomy. I got really good grades when I really shouldn't have on some of my tests, like really and truly. I don't know how I passed pharmacology as well as I did, because I was like stressed the heck out studying for pharmacology. And so every step was just very smooth, and I shadowed an ED nurse, which I'll talk about in a later video, and I loved every part of it. So it just kind of fell into my lap in a way, and I prayed about it and I felt called to it. So yeah, that's why I got into it. I definitely thought about doing everything from being a doctor, being a physician's associate, I guess is what they call it these days, or assistant, nurse practitioner, getting my doctorate in nursing. I think at this point in time, I want to get my master's in nursing education. So I'm going to work towards that in the next maybe 2 years. It's like a 2-year program for a master's degree. And I would love to teach in a nursing school, because even though I had a decent experience in nursing school, there are some instances where I was like, man, I wish my instructors a little bit more like present on the clinical site. I wish they were a little bit more open to questions being asked, and if they didn't know the answer, helping us find it and looking for it for ourselves. I wish that sometimes in the classroom setting, the professors were a little bit better about answering questions. They were great nurses, but sometimes they weren't the best lecturers. And so I would love to learn how to be a better lecturer and really just focus on finding ways to help nurses and nursing students learn better. And I would also love to be a simulation lab instructor. I loved my simulation lab, and I loved my instructor for it, because she was not hardcore, but she was passionate about it, and you could tell, and she did not make us feel dumb while we were learning, and she helped us realize that we knew more than we realized, and that was so special. So I would love to do that myself one day and make people feel the same way. So great question. And then the last question, this person asked, nursing hacks for new grads. Okay, so I'm gonna close my laptop on this one because that was my last question. So this is Editing Maddie coming in briefly because my camera died in the last clip. So I wanted to finish answering this question since it was my last one. I also just went to a massage, so I don't have makeup on, and my face is red, but it was much needed. So anyways, I wanted to slip this in here so I could finally finish answering the question, because I kind of forgot to earlier. But it was on nursing tips and tricks. So I've got 3 things that you can do. One is use your clipboard, and as you learn things on the unit, things that you're like, I might forget this if I don't look at it a couple times or keep it on me, make a little note card and tape it to the back of your clipboard, and that way you can refer to it. I've done this. I have notes all on the back of my clipboard, and I also have bought those like little like cheat sheet cards to keep on my badge. So I think I have them linked in one of my videos. It's called ScrubPocket, but you can find little cards like that all over Etsy, and they've got little cheat sheets on it. So that's helpful. The second thing that I would suggest is, like, behavior-wise, if you want to impress your preceptor, make sure you're asking lots of questions. This might not seem quite like a trick, but it's definitely a tip, and people who precept tend to really like it when you ask questions and will elaborate on things for you, and then try to take notes if you need to. Definitely study on the side. You don't have to study like you did in nursing school, but if something new pops up, sit down, look it up, or have your preceptor look it up with you. And then my third tip and trick would be, you can honestly look up a lot of hacks like on YouTube. There's a lot of people who do more. Maybe I'll make a video on this at some point, but certain things that I learned is, these are just really small tricks, but if you look at IV tubing, a lot of times nurses will take the end of it if they have more like medication to give later on, and they just want to keep the tubing so they don't charge the patient by getting more tubing when they get a new bag. They'll leave the tubing hanging in the IV pump, But most people don't realize that on the back of the roller clamp is a little clip, and you can actually clip the bottom of the IV tubing into that. So instead of just draping it over your pole, you can clip it onto that little hook on the back. Another thing that I've learned to do that's really helpful is, I don't know if you know how to burp a bag. I didn't until my preceptor showed me, and basically all it means is you take your bag and it's upside down, let's say it's saline or a big bag of fluid, you spike it, and then you squeeze the bag. Usually I have to put it up against me just so I can have like, I can hold it easier, but you squeeze the bag until fluid comes basically out of the top portion, and then you put the spike back in it while the fluid's there. So it might drip and overflow a little bit, but once you spike it, and you flip it over, there's no air left in the bag. So basically you're just expelling the air and getting the fluid all the way to the tip of that end piece on your bag and then spiking it. I do this with arterial line bags because I try my hardest to make sure that there's never going to be any air in the arterial line at all. So I burp the bags for those. And then another thing that I do is when I go to hang fluids before like priming it, because I had a hard time priming fluids, you can either squeeze the chamber while you're spiking it and then let go, and it automatically fills the chamber. But before you unroll the roller clamp to prime, fill the chamber and then prime it, because otherwise you're gonna prime it and then the chamber's gonna fill, and sometimes air gets trapped in the chamber at the same time. Doing an IV, another thing that I learned is you can take the like alcohol swab, and sometimes I will rub like the line on the vein, and then I'll take the alcohol swab and the 4 corners, and I'll take one corner and just lay the corner flat on the IV line, and then try to insert the IV where the tip of that is. So it just kind of keeps my IV straight so I can see where my end goal is. Those are the very small things that I do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, please, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because I want to keep these videos up. And I love having you guys here and having this community. So like and subscribe, comment if any of this was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Tutu Nana.